What will happen to Donald Trump if the White House window bag video proves real? Imagine this. A grainy video surfaces online, allegedly showing a large bag being tossed out of a White House window. At first glance, it seems absurd, almost too strange to be true. But the internet is ablaze. Speculation is rampant, and whispers are spreading that this could be more than just a viral prank. If the footage turns out to be authentic, it wouldn't just spark late-night comedy monologues. It could raise serious legal, ethical, and national security questions about what's really happening inside the most guarded residence in America. For Donald Trump, who's already entangled in investigations and political battles, the implications could be explosive. Could this be another nail in the coffin of public trust, or is it simply a distraction in an already chaotic political season? Stay tuned as we break it down right now. The recent viral circulation of a video allegedly showing bags being thrown from a window of the White House has triggered a heated debate, not only in political circles, but also among legal analysts, journalists, and members of the public. At first glance, the incident may appear to be yet another fleeting controversy in an already tumultuous political landscape. However, if the video is ultimately proven real and authentic, the implications for former President Donald Trump could be profound. This script explores the possible outcomes in detail, analyzing legal, political, and institutional consequences, as well as the broader implications for trust in democratic governance. The following analysis is divided into 10 main sections. Each section focuses on a core dimension of the potential fallout, ranging from legal scrutiny to electoral consequences, from international perception to the use of artificial intelligence as a rhetorical shield. The central question remains, what will happen to Donald Trump if the White House window bag video proves real? The video depicts a scene in which a large bag appears to be discarded from an upstairs window of the White House residence. Eyewitness accounts and timestamps have reportedly verified its authenticity, though Trump has dismissed the recording as artificial intelligence manipulation. According to him, the windows of the White House are sealed, bulletproof, and weigh hundreds of pounds, making it impossible for such an action to take place. The White House, however, has offered a different explanation, suggesting that the video captured staff moving items out improperly. This discrepancy between official acknowledgement and Trump's denial sets the stage for an intense conflict over narrative control. If authenticity is confirmed, Trump's insistence on dismissal could raise serious questions about truthfulness and accountability. If the video is verified, several legal consequences could follow. First, investigators would examine the nature of the items discarded. If the bags contain sensitive documents, classified materials, or items related to ongoing federal inquiries, this could represent a direct violation of federal law. Trump has already faced scrutiny for his handling of classified information at Mar-a-Lago. Confirmation that materials were being disposed of in an irregular manner at the White House could compound existing cases or spark new ones. Second, authenticity would likely trigger congressional and Department of Justice reviews. If Trump, while serving as president, knowingly authorized or permitted such actions, this could fall under obstruction of justice statutes. Even though he is no longer president, potential accountability for past actions remains on the table. Third, civil suits could emerge from parties claiming damages resulting from institutional failures. Survivors of misconduct or families of individuals affected by Trump-era policies might argue that the concealment or disposal of evidence contributed to harm. While speculative, such suits would further expand the legal complications for Trump. In the American political environment, perception often rivals fact in determining impact. If the video is authenticated, the symbolism of White House staff discarding bags from windows would resonate deeply with the electorate. It could become a metaphor for secrecy, corruption, or disregard for transparency. Opponents would seize on the image as evidence of misconduct. Campaign advertisements, debates, and media coverage would amplify the narrative that Trump cannot be trusted with power. His supporters, conversely, might rally behind him, framing the controversy as a politically motivated smear. Yet the balance of undecided voters could tip away, especially among moderate conservatives and independents who already harbor doubts about his approach to governance. The fallout would likely manifest in congressional hearings, with Democrats demanding accountability and Republicans facing pressure to either defend or distance themselves from Trump. The issue could divide the GOP, with some prioritizing loyalty to Trump and others emphasizing institutional integrity. A central aspect of Trump's response to the video is his claim that the footage is probably AI. This raises broader questions about the intersection of technology and political accountability. Artificial intelligence has indeed reached levels of sophistication that allow the creation of highly convincing deepfakes. Yet in this case, multiple outlets verified the video with timestamps and eyewitness confirmation. If the video is proven real, Trump's attempt to dismiss it as AI manipulation would be undermined. More importantly, the episode illustrates a dangerous precedent: the ability of public figures to deny reality by invoking the possibility of synthetic media. If every inconvenient fact can be dismissed as AI-generated, accountability erodes. This strategy may shield Trump temporarily among his loyal base, but it risks alienating wider audiences who view truth as foundational to democracy. In the long term, relying on AI denial could damage not only his credibility, but also the broader public's trust in democratic discourse. The international community closely watches events in Washington, D.C., especially when controversies involve former or current presidents. If the video proves real, global allies and adversaries alike would interpret the incident in ways that affect American credibility. Allies in Europe and Asia might perceive the scandal as evidence of instability within American institutions, particularly if the video involves sensitive materials. This could weaken U.S. bargaining power in negotiations and cast doubt on the reliability of American commitments. Adversaries such as Russia or China might exploit the controversy in propaganda campaigns, portraying American democracy as hypocritical or corrupt. Such narratives would serve to strengthen their own domestic legitimacy while weakening U.S. influence abroad. Thus, the authenticity of the video could ripple beyond domestic politics, shaping the global perception of American governance. Donald Trump enters the 2024 election cycle already burdened with a complex political landscape. His legacy is defined as much by policy achievements and populist momentum as by ongoing investigations, lawsuits, and a series of controversies that dominate the public narrative. Against this backdrop, the viral White House window bag video represents more than just another episode in the long list of disputes attached to his name. If the video is authenticated and proven real, it would inject a fresh and deeply symbolic element into the national conversation, an image of apparent secrecy and evasion literally playing out in the halls of the presidency. Elections in the United States are rarely decided by those firmly entrenched on either political extreme. Trump's base, loyal and unwavering, is likely to remain unaffected by almost any new revelation. These voters interpret criticisms as attacks orchestrated by political enemies, reinforcing their alignment with him. However, presidential races are won or lost in the margins. Among suburban families concerned about stability, moderates who weigh credibility carefully, and independents who do not tie themselves to one party. For these groups, authenticity and trustworthiness carry disproportionate weight. A verified video suggesting impropriety at the White House could cast a long shadow, making it more difficult for Trump to present himself as a reliable steward of the presidency. In campaign terms, optics matter as much as substance. The image of bags being discarded through an upstairs White House window would be replayed endlessly in political advertisements, news segments, and online discussions. Democrats would almost certainly highlight the incident as emblematic of corruption, disorganization, or even potential illegality. In political communication, visuals resonate more strongly than complex arguments, and the stark simplicity of such a scene could serve as a powerful tool for Trump's opponents. This creates a double challenge for Trump. On one hand, he must continue to solidify his loyal base in order to secure primary dominance. On the other, he faces the uphill task of convincing persuadable voters that the video is either irrelevant or misleading. His strategy of labeling inconvenient facts as AI-generated or fabricated may carry limited effectiveness in the long term, particularly if independent verification continues to circulate widely. In an era where authenticity is both highly valued and easily questioned, doubling down on denial could backfire, further alienating moderate voters who see accountability as a non-negotiable principle. Within the Republican Party itself, the scandal could shift internal dynamics. Up until now, many GOP leaders have hesitated to confront Trump directly, fearing backlash from his base. Yet a confirmed controversy of this magnitude might embolden rivals to argue for change. Party figures seeking to establish themselves as credible national leaders could point to the incident as evidence that continuing to tie Republican fortunes to Trump risks electoral disaster. Whether such challenges gain traction would depend on the extent to which Republican voters themselves are willing to reconsider their loyalty. Still, even whispers of discontent could complicate Trump's path to nomination. The long-term electoral consequences must also be considered. Even if the immediate impact appears limited, the accumulation of controversies steadily chips away at Trump's political capital. Campaigns are narratives constructed over months and years, and the persistence of scandals, whether resolved or not, shapes public perception. In this sense, the White House window bag video, if real, would join a broader mosaic of controversies that define Trump's candidacy. Voters who may not follow each event in detail nonetheless absorb the overall impression of turbulence and impropriety. For some, that impression may be decisive in choosing whether to support him again. While the implications for Trump personally are significant, the incident also touches a larger issue that transcends any single individual: the standards of transparency and accountability expected of the presidency. The White House occupies a unique place in American political culture. It is not merely a residence or an office. It is the visible symbol of national governance, the backdrop against which citizens measure their leaders' commitment to truth. The suggestion that bags potentially containing documents or materials of consequence were discarded from its windows threatens to undermine that symbolism. It introduces the possibility, however remote, that presidential power was exercised in ways that circumvented established protocols of accountability. Even the perception of such conduct erodes public trust in the integrity of institutions. If the video is authenticated, pressure for reform will intensify. Calls for stricter rules governing the handling of presidential records are likely to gain momentum. Lawmakers may argue for enhanced congressional oversight, greater transparency in White House operations, and more robust consequences for obstruction of justice. The balance between executive privilege and accountability would once again become a contested space in American politics. Public skepticism also forms part of the equation. A verified video could reinforce the widespread belief that elites are insulated from accountability, operating by different standards than ordinary citizens. This perception, already prevalent across ideological lines, deepens polarization and fuels populist resentment. For democracy to function effectively, the principle that no one is above the law must remain credible. Episodes that appear to contradict this principle, even symbolically, weaken the democratic fabric. Restoring trust would require more than explanations or denials. It would demand concrete action. Legal authorities would need to investigate thoroughly, Congress might hold hearings, and institutions would need to demonstrate their capacity to hold leaders accountable. Absent such action, cynicism could harden, leaving the public more vulnerable to disinformation and less engaged in democratic participation. At its core, the controversy highlights a dilemma of the modern political era: the tension between spectacle and substance. Viral images shape perception quickly, but democratic resilience requires careful, sober responses. If the White House window bag video proves real, the response will need to balance transparency with due process, ensuring that accountability is neither performative nor ignored. Ultimately, the broader question raised is whether democratic governance can adapt to new challenges of technology, perception, and accountability. For Trump, the personal stakes are high. His political prospects in 2024 could hinge on how this controversy evolves. For the United States as a whole, the institutional stakes may be even greater. Whether citizens can continue to trust that the presidency, despite its flaws and controversies, remains accountable to the public it serves. If the White House window bag video proves real, several scenarios could unfold. Minimal immediate impact, but cumulative damage. The video might not lead to direct legal consequences, but it would add to the accumulation of controversies eroding Trump's credibility over time. Legal escalation. If investigations reveal the bags contained sensitive materials, Trump could face additional charges related to obstruction, mishandling of classified information, or abuse of power. Political weakening. The scandal could undermine Trump's standing among moderates and swing voters, narrowing his electoral pathway in 2024. Party fracture. The Republican Party could experience deeper divisions, with some leaders doubling down on loyalty and others advocating for a clean break. Historical stigma. Even if Trump escapes immediate legal or electoral consequences, the incident would contribute to his legacy as a leader associated with secrecy, denial, and controversy. The viral video of bags being thrown from a White House window has sparked intense debate. If proven authentic, the consequences for Donald Trump could extend across legal, political, and international arenas. From the possibility of new investigations to the erosion of public trust, the incident underscores the importance of accountability in democratic governance. Ultimately, the real impact lies not only in what the bags contained, but also in how leaders respond to questions of truth and transparency. If every inconvenient fact is dismissed as artificial intelligence, democracy itself is at risk. The United States faces a pivotal moment: to reaffirm its commitment to truth and accountability, or to allow denial and deflection to erode public trust. The outcome for Donald Trump, therefore, will depend on the intersection of evidence, legal processes, political dynamics, and public perception. If the video is real, the path ahead for him becomes even more precarious, and the broader implications for American democracy even more urgent.